From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's AMN Drive Time, brought to you by Aishin.
AMN Drive Time is sponsored by Aishin, your trusted and reliable source for aftermarket automotive components and technology. Visit AishinAftermarket.com for more information.
John, welcome to AMN Drive Time, sponsored by our good friends at Aishin.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you at our world headquarters in Akron, Ohio today. And so you guys are in the oil business and the lubricants business, right?
Absolutely.
There's a lot going on in that world right now. So oil prices have been highly volatile due to what's going on in Iran, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Explain why the single shipping lane, I don't think a lot of people ever thought about until the last 6 weeks, is so critical to the global oil market, and why markets are reacting so sharply to news involving Iran, shipping interruptions, or ceasefire developments.
So good question. I mean, it's something that we're getting impacted with pretty dramatically right now. And we've heard in the news that, hey, America is self-sufficient on oil.
Yeah.
And that's true. We are. But
we hear that all the time.
The rest of the world isn't.
Right.
And they're putting a demand on crude oil from different places, whether it's the North Sea or Africa or South America. So crude that might have come here now is getting pulled into other markets because you just can't get all the crude that's supposed to be coming out of the Middle East. And it affects a lot of different products, and specifically the lubricant side of the business.
Sure.
Today there's an estimate that about 60% of the synthetic base stock, the raw materials, come through the strait. So right now you've taken out 60% of the supply, so that is going to make synthetic motor oils, synthetic blend motor oils,
sure,
much more difficult and extremely expensive.
Got it. Well, it's interesting because we're in Akron, Ohio, former rubber capital of the world, maybe not so much anymore. There's a Goodyear here now, but I don't know how much is oil in every single tire, but it's a lot, right?
Absolutely.
Oil's in a lot of products. So lubricant prices may rise quickly during the market disruptions and decline more slowly, right, than expected when crude softens. Describe why that is and what other factors affect the finished lubricant production process.
Okay, good question. When you look at a barrel of crude oil, let's start right there.
Sure.
So when you break it into its components, more than half of it is going into gasoline and diesel fuel, and then going to jet fuel or asphalt. Only about 2% of that is going into a lubricant. So when you think about what's driving a refinery and their economics, it is demand for gasoline and diesel fuel. So if demand is up or profitability and margins up on those products, then that's where those molecules go, and it makes the molecules left even more expensive, when it goes into lubricants or chemicals or even tires, for example.
Yep.
So refinery economics have a big part in driving the lubricant cost, just because we're such a small percentage of the barrel.
Got it.
But what's also impacting us is, with the strait closed, there are 3 major Group 3 or synthetic plants in the Middle East. One in Abu Dhabi, one in Bahrain, and there's a third one in Qatar. And then a significant portion of the crude oil goes to Korea, whereas a 4th Group 3 plant that makes synthetic base oil. So because that's 60% of that market is closed, we're already starting to see shortages in synthetics here in the U.S., which is driving up the cost. Another thing that's going on, as you see, is, and you'll see people talk about replacement economics. Companies are saying, well, I bought this at $1 but now I've got to pay $2 for it
Right.
when I go out and buy it. So they're doing it on replacement economics. And, yeah, our margin's up a little bit when they only paid $1 for it. But on the back side of it, there's estimates that it could take to the end of the year to start to see some modulation in pricing
Right.
on the lubricant base oil side.
Yep.
It's about a 4-month. If things were to stop 1st of May, it could be 4 months before we start to see supply come back, just because you've got to get it from the Middle East to the refineries. From the refinery, they got to refine it, and then it's got to get shipped wherever it's going, whether it's going to Asia or coming to the U.S. It's going to be another 4 months. So pricing is going to come down relatively slow because of that.
You don't have any inside information when all this is going to be wrapped up over there, do you?
I would love to have that. Let's be honest, it's tough going to the gas pump today.
Right.
Not
It
very
is.
long ago, I'm from Indianapolis. Not long ago, it was, under $3.
Yeah.
It's tough when you're going and it's $4.
Yeah.
We all feel that. But, hopefully it'll be over soon and we can get back to more normal economics.
Yeah. I filled my car up over the weekend. It was like $85. It's normally like $60 or something, right?
Absolutely.
So talk about some of the realities of the global supply chain and how freight, packaging, and logistics, how those costs influence the lubricants pricing today.
Let me take that question a little different direction. Let's talk about, I don't know what type of car you drive today, but if you're driving a newer vehicle and it requires synthetics,
Yep.
right now they're going to be hard to come by, and they're going to get more expensive. But if you have, and I'm not picking on General Motors, but if you have a General Motors vehicle,
I do.
and
Coincidentally.
it requires Dexos
Yep.
for your engine oil. If you go to the dealership, you're going to be able to get your Dexos oil change. But if you go to a third party, you may not be able to get a GM approved oil because so many of the synthetics that are used, like in the production of Dexos, are not available, or they're very tight supply. So if you have a car that's in warranty, you got to be very careful because GM Dexos is a very unique formulation. It's very strong, and that's their only recommendation for GM vehicles. Wow. Where maybe if your car is out of warranty, you have a little more flexibility to use a product that may not be Dexos approved, but still is very high quality. And you want to be careful, especially you don't want to jeopardize your warranty.
Right.
Because as of today, we have not heard that General Motors is waiving their requirements on Dexos because synthetics are in such short supply.
That's interesting. In fact, I think I had my oil changed about a month ago at an independent shop. They were able to handle it. I presume it was GM approved.
Yeah.
Wasn't it the dealer? So how should aftermarket distributors, installers, and repair shops think about inventory when prices are moving quickly in either direction?
Yeah. I think making sure you have supply of the key products. So if you have, you're servicing a lot of GM, make sure you have a supply of your Dexos approved vehicles. If you have, European OEMs or Asian OEMs that have specific approved fluids, make sure you have access to those. Because that's going to be the key thing is you want to take care of your customers when they come in the door. Making sure you're able to service their vehicle, give them an approved product, especially if their vehicles are under warranty. If vehicles are out of warranty, you have a little bit more flexibility, but you got to make sure that you're taking care of them and putting a good quality product in their vehicle. Timing in the market is tough. I think you'll be rewarded if you service your customers, service them and take care of them more so than trying to time it whether should I stock up or not.
Right. Well, because it seems like there's fresh news every day. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Hard to read the tea leaves there. So looking ahead, what should the aftermarket expect over, say, the next 12 months in terms of lubricant supply, future price and stability, and availability for the premium products?
So I think you'll see on the conventional oils, I think that you're going to have very good supply. You not have any disruptions on your synthetic products, your OEM approved products. Given how long it's going to take to fill up the supply chain when everything does come back online, I think you'll see synthetics being very tight all the way till the end of the year. Just knowing that the plant in Qatar, the Shell facility, was damaged, with some of the rockets.
Oh, really?
Another one in Bahrain was also declared force majeure. So it may take a while for those facilities to come back online before they're producing synthetic base stocks again. Huh. And because of that, it could be to the end of the year. It could be into the new year before we see things turn back to what is more typically normal.
Sure. So John, talk to me and our audience about the difference between conventional and synthetic oils and how that plays into the market as it stands today.
Good question. Let me use an example.
Okay.
So for years, we had, the single razor. I'm going to use a razor example. You had the single razor, you got a good shave, that worked just fine.
Yep.
And, we went from that to razor blades that have 5 razor blades and aloe and vibrate and all kind of things. So just like with razor blades, you've seen a progression from a single razor blade to 3 to 4 to 5.
Yes.
We've seen the same thing with our base oils that we use to formulate our oils. Conventional Group 1 base oil is what we've used for years. There's Group 2 base oil, and that's what we produce a lot of here in the U.S., whether it's on the Gulf Coast, the Midwest, West Coast. Those make great oils that we have today, but where we don't have a lot of production here in the U.S. is of synthetics. So the razor analogy, the 5-blade razor. Right. We don't produce a lot of that, and we import most of that into the U.S. A big percentage of that base oil comes in. So it makes it very difficult when we formulate products, because we have to have certain base oils, certain synthetic base oils to formulate our products. A lot of the OEMs have their specifications, and they don't allow substitutes for different base oils or different additives once you have that approval. So it makes it very difficult, depending on where you're sourcing your base oil and additives from, to formulate an oil when the market is very short on molecules.
Got it. So John, it is tradition on drive time to do something we call lightning round.
Okay.
And this is, I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to give me a quick answer off the top of your head.
All right.
You sure? You ready?
We'll try it.
All right. What's one skill from your engineering background that is carried over into your role at DA Lubricants?
For me, it's getting out there and touching things. I've got to be out in the field, seeing things, seeing how they work. And to me, that's been the best thing for me, is hands-on.
What's your favorite sports team? Indianapolis is a sports team, but really known for maybe college athletics, right? Or
I'll get some criticism here, but I'm a Texan. I grew up in Houston and have followed the Houston team since Earl Campbell played. So
wow, that's a lot. You and I know Earl Campbell.
So I'm showing my age.
Back with the Houston Oilers.
Absolutely.
Are you a DIY guy or a DIFM guy?
It depends.
Okay.
Depends on how hard it is. I still do a lot myself, but there's some things that I'm just not capable of doing anymore. As these cars and vehicles get harder and harder to work on, you've got to have a good partner to go to that you can trust.
You do. What was your first, you and I, we talked earlier, we're about the same age. What was your first car?
First one was a 72 Chevy Impala that I got handed down from my dad. So that got me, no air conditioning in Houston. It got me back and forth to school and football.
Perfect. Mine was a 1976 Ford Pinto wagon, hand-me-down from my elder sister. Yellow with the fake wood siding. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I had vinyl seats in Houston. That was pretty hot. You had to have a towel in the seats.
Yeah, I get it. Last one. If you could take a road trip anywhere, where would that be?
Probably back out to Montana and Wyoming, going back to Yellowstone. Just beautiful country. I love it out there.
Fantastic. John, great to have you on AMN Drive Time, sponsored by our friends at Eischen.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.